horses. That is one that, of course, has tongues wagging, but of course, it is a case of miscommunication, perhaps. And then the fact that standards are, of course, enforced depending on the modalities in any one country at any one time. The fact that document or a transcript from a Ugandan was rejected by a university elsewhere, perhaps it was down to one modality out of many. Let's leave it at that and take note, tracking the progress of Uganda's oil projects. Just a preamble before I introduce my guest. Oil in Uganda has a history that goes back to the late 19th century when local communities discovered oil seepages in Albertine region. Such finds were documented by Emin Pasha in 1877 and by British colonial administrator and explorer F. Lugard in 1890, the latter being quick to declare ownership of them. In the 20th century, exploration was erratic and hindered by geopolitical events, but in 1925, the British colonial administration conducted a geological survey to map possible oil deposits. This survey provided the first official confirmation of the presence of hydrocarbons in the Albertine Graben and generated international interest in commercializing oil reserves in Uganda. Uganda's luck to benefit from oil money expanded from then to date, with now the launch of the first oil drilling program targeting 2025 output. We look at the progress of oil production and the opportunities therein, the checks and the balances, all to be weighed to light by Sarah Banage Birungi, the corporate and public affairs manager at UNOC. Very welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you.
Oil and gas.
Yes.
Just the other week, we had the East African Exploration Conference that was happening just above us here at the Kampala Serena Conference Center. And listening to the conversations and the panelists, there was a whole lot of optimism when it comes to oil and gas. Many were demystifying some of the issues that have continued to be gray areas.
Yes.
And we now have an idea of exactly where we are in terms of the progress. But you cannot put a finger to something unless you are from UNOC, and here you are. What is the latest?
My starting point would be we are progressing very well.
All right, take it on.
We are progressing very well. And in terms of following the FID, the final investment decision that was made, a lot of work has happened down at the Tilenga, which is the French operator company area, and a lot has happened at the Kingfisher place as well. Much of the work is actually going on at the central processing facility to make it ready.
That's right.
Okay. Now the rigs, the rigs which actually drill the oil arrived. The two arrived for the Tilenga project, and there is one in Noya, which is a bit further up. The construction of that one is completed, almost completed, and then the second rig, the construction is still going on. What do I mean? After constructing, the spudding will take place. Spudding, for those who are not that technical, is really simply the drilling for oil will start. So on the
scooping the oil out of the ground.
Yes, will start. So the rig, the one is almost complete, one is being started, and so we expect that process to take on as soon as that construction is done. But for the Kingfisher one that is run by CNOC, that rig arrived and the construction was completed and our president launched the drilling. You remember? So that drilling is happening, and so they drill and case until they'll reach the oil, and then they do that for all the wells where the oil is going to come from, and that whole process really is just to get us ready for 2025 first oil. So that's why I started with we are progressing very well, because in terms of the timeline for 2025, we're on course in terms of that process. Now, on the East African crude oil pipeline. That compensation is still taking place. Yes. In Uganda, that process, we have completed that process. 76% of the compensation process has been completed. Because you have to remember that people are compensated and then moved in order for the construction of the pipeline to begin. So if we are at 76%, we're really moving in line, because this will happen. And then in terms of people, because the people aspect is very important. It's being done very carefully. When they are compensated, they're given time while the construction of their houses is also taking place. And if I'm just to give you, in terms of houses, I had some statistics I can share, because you know, some people are getting new houses, very beautiful houses. Other people have been moved and they're getting land. And so in terms of the houses, there are 133 houses here under construction. Those are being constructed right now in Uganda, but at least in terms of numbers, 79 were handed over. 79 were handed over, and people are sleeping very well. Everyone wants to go down. When you get time, you go down. Those are really success stories. You find people working very well, operating very well in their new environment. So the 79 were handed over, 91 are not yet started. But 133 are under construction. So even this is moving quite well. By the time, because we are, the timeline we all have is 2025. 2025. 2025 for first oil. Yes. For
which month specifically?
No, I would not speculate on a month right now.
In other words, 2025 should end when we are...
Exactly. We have, our oil is up and running. Yes. And just to remind the people listening, the pipeline is all the way from Hoima up to Tanga in Tanzania. And in fact, there in Tanzania, there is a marine storage terminal where it arrives before it is dispatched. That work is also going on very well. They have already started on that work, on that side. And so everything is really working in tandem for us to be able to meet the deadline that by the time 2025 ends, like you rightly put it, we should have our oil going on. But there's also the refinery. You know, the case for the refinery was very important for import substitution. Not all our oil is going to go into the pipeline for export.
That's right.
No, we have 60,000 barrels, which daily, that the refinery will be receiving and refining into usable products, because the crude in itself is not usable. You can't use it, but when you refine it, you then get the jet fuel, you get the diesel, you get the petrol, you also get the LPG. So that side of things is moving. In terms of the refinery, the front end engineering design was concluded. We have a preferred design there. We have what Uganda will be doing, what the refinery design will be the residual fluid catalytic cracker. It's a design really that works with the kind of crude oil we have. Our crude is heavy.
Can you say that in English?
It's a design, you know, like how you have a design. I have an Audi design. So that's the design. There is no simpler way to put it. It's a design. But what you can understand for the benefit of this conversation is that design works with the different designs work with different kinds of crude you have. In Uganda, our crude is heavy and it is waxy. So when it is heavy and waxy, you need that design to get the finished products that you want. At least 85% of the crude will get us some good finished products when you use that design.
Okay.
Yeah, so without going so much into the design name, I think the simple thing that Uganda needs to
I
know.
always want to know some of these things
Yeah, I
at deeper
understand.
level, but
Our design
yeah,
works
it
for
works.
our kind of crude.
So essentially, the country is undertaking 4 projects: a refinery,
Yes.
the oil pipeline, the Kingfisher, and Tilenga.
Exactly.
Those are 4 projects.
Yes, we have, and if I'm to really do them, you see, UNOC has a unique position. We are operating the entire value chain. The value chain, what do I mean? Right from when it is scooped, which we call the upstream. Upstream is the raw material kind of thing. You have the raw material crude, we operate there. And that's where you find Tilenga and Kingfisher. But we also operate the midstream. Midstream is where the the manufacturing takes place, which is the refinery and the pipeline to transport it. But we also operate downstream, where the end user consumer is. We do there have storage terminals, bulk storage terminals that would give the petroleum product to these oil marketing companies, which you know, which have the retailers, so to speak.
You spoke about the fact that our ability to refine this product into the various portfolio of oil, diesel, LPG, that's liquefied petroleum gas.
Yes,
and then I want to just bring in the aspect of helping Ugandans adopt to cooking methods that are efficient and affordable. How does this whole
refinery come in?
How does it factor in their concerns, especially the fact that we don't have a lot of money and we are grappling with very lean wallets?
Yeah, the refinery actually is one of those things we look forward to, because it is going to do so much in terms of the reducing from what we do use now, the biomass, the wood fuel, the forests being cut all the time, because it's capable of producing 658 metric tons of liquefied gas. We did not have that, and so that is why we're looking at the refinery, because with that availability of that much gas, then the system of distributing, you know, the Ministry of Energy has started on that in terms of distributing the cans and all that, and in anticipation really of the gas we are going to get from the refinery. So to us, the refinery is one of the things that is going to be like a game changer in terms of transitioning from the cutting of our forest cover, transitioning from the biomass into this good clean energy called LPG, because it has the capacity to produce that much metric tons of LPG, and we'll be able to utilize them. So when you have that product, the distribution and the semantics of how people access it, which is already being started by the ministry, will definitely go a long way,
For context here is important. Just the other day in Nigeria, Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man, unveiled a massive refinery, one that of course is a game changer for Africa and Nigeria in particular. Looking at the capability of this massive facility in Nigeria and juxtaposing it with our own, how am I supposed to figure out what ours will be? Will it be half of what Dangote has unveiled?
Right.
Will it be a quarter of what Dangote has done? Or we're going to, well, have Dangote go on a run for his money?
Okay, well, in terms of the design, the kind of refinery we have put in place should be able to feed our market.
Okay.
Yes, our market. So these 60,000 barrels a day translate into around 9.5 million liters of petroleum products. Just for your understanding, right now, as a country, we take 6 million liters, right? But that grows. It has been growing, that percentage has been growing for the last 10 years by 9%. So at the point the refinery is online and it's producing 9.5 million liters, that will be able to satisfy our market. So we are actually satisfying our market, and maybe very, very minimal in the markets around. So that refinery we have done is strictly to satisfy our market. And so in the import substitution, we stop the importation of this product. We reduce on the logistical costs that you suffer at the pump price, and then be able to also earn. Yeah, and then the balance of the barrels are exported in their crude raw form for getting some money also from the international market. So yeah, we designed something that is suitable for the market we have.
Now, information on oil and gas, especially the progress of the projects that we are undertaking as a country, is often very technical.
Yes.
Now, the guy who is in a matatu in the taxi park might not readily understand what this is going to mean for his pockets. If 2025 is here and all projections are on target, can you just tell the guy in the new tax park who's driving rather, and of course there are border riders, how much the price of fuel will be?
Oh, that would be a speculation.
That would be speculation.
That would be a speculation. What you need to know,
idea so they can, because I'm sure, and this one I speak for them as an audience, they might not readily understand when you speak about the millions of liters that we should be able to, or barrels that we should be able to produce. They need to be able to quickly,
in terms of the pump price, how they
quickly relate with the improvements and the fact that we are able to do this.
But what they can understand, I know, is that when you have security, because what brings price spikes is the scarcity, right?
Yeah.
And so when there is a scarcity, some people will hoard that product and prices will shoot. Now, when you have your own refinery and a storage terminal, you're already knocking out the scarcity and you're ensuring the security of supply. When something is able to be supplied continuously, you do not then have a lot of leeway to put up the price. The other thing they need also, and I know they can understand, is that when you have the product in country and you're not importing it, we all know the costs of importing, logistical costs of importing. Products may be cheap out there, but by the time they travel to a land-linked country like Uganda, the transportation costs take it high. Now, the pump price, a big component of that is really that logistical transportation. So if you do away with that and you have the product in-house, then you definitely have, you will affect the pump price positively.
All right, my guy Sowedi in the old taxi park, omusolo gobadde osasula ku mafuta gujja kuba gukendeera era nga sente nazo ezali teemu zijja kuba zikendeera. All right, lastly, we are grappling with speculation in our education sector. There are thousands of Ugandan students who've done oil and gas courses.
Right.
We hope they are okay.
They are safe. Because I too have been listening to the previous speakers here.
Yeah.
And I think they've made it very clear that there is nothing like expiry. So the people undertaking those courses, we have so many youths who are being trained in different aspects. Uganda prepared itself a long time ago in terms of training, because the people doing this work, even when you go down to Tilenga, you'll be very satisfied, are Ugandans.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Your last word on this?
I know this has not been a good enough time, but if I could leave the number for the office so that whoever has questions, how do I participate? What opportunities are available for me? You could get us on 0312 0312 444 600 600
0312 444 600.
Or you could send us an email.
Notice Satu. Mubiri nya mukaga noti.
That's true. But you can also get us on the emails.
Solomon Kawesa, or your job is at hand. You can also reach us at info. My Luganda has just improved.
Yeah, I can hear that. info at UNOC.
UNOC,
which is
that
UNOC.
is UNOC, yeah.
Info at UNOC, which is UNOC, .co.ug. Yeah, you can send us an email because there's a lot in this period that we can discuss, share opportunities and information.
All right, Sarah Banage Birungi, Corporate and Public Affairs Manager at UNOC, many thanks for the insight and the update on oil and gas projects in the country. It's been a pleasure hosting you.
Thank you very much.